I'll just offer a thought that I often have. I've certainly heard you talk about this before, and as I'm going through my sometimes more difficult than other struggles, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm often making it worse by my gnashing of teeth and stressing and my anxious nature just kind of compounding the problem, or this adding suffering. If there's not suffering already, I'm creating it. And so it's so then can be quite easy to say, well, here I am adding to it, and what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? But that's like, then there's a second arrow which you can really get into and make it even worse. I guess I'm all that to say that I find it comforting when you say that it is the nature of the mind to do this. It is in our very nature to do these things, and having the tools to help us, I would say, navigate that. Something as basic as going back to the breath, just sitting for a few minutes and just going back to awareness and some sort of inner peace when there's a storm going on somewhere in the mind. There's always a corner of peace. That's extremely I think comforting to know that, even sometimes when we don't feel it, but we know it can be there. So it's it's not obvious, but it's good and it's comforting. Know that that's there for us.
Thank you. Yeah, it is the nature of our mind to ruminate, really, and to constantly be trying to figure out and cling, push away and grasp. And one way is to go back to the breath. The Buddha recommended concentration practices, as Lou was speaking about, where we concentrate our attention on one thing, on a focus, other than thoughts. And it's often the breath at the tip of the nose or the belly. The Buddha always meditated with attention on the tip of the nose. Sayadaw, Mahasi Sayadaw, who had a big Burmese monk, had a big influence in the West, recommended the belly, which is more of a body kind of meditation. You're feeling the body moving much more. But just anything, one point. In Christianity, it's often a candle. In Hinduism, it's often a mantra, just repeating a phrase over and over. So there's every kind of tradition has a different thing that they use to just one pointed attention. And you get absorbed in that object, which draws you out of the mind and into the object. So that is a very widely used and effective way of resting, really. And it can also be very relaxing, even blissful, to the point of addiction. Right? You can get addicted to the blissful concentration practices. Been there, done that, right? Went down that rabbit hole, of course. There's a rabbit hole, I'll find it and go down it seems. It's the personality here. Another way, so concentration practice is one way. Another way is to practice being the witness. So I always found for me, I got addicted to concentration practices, and I was using it as another way to distract. It was my new marijuana, right? It was a more healthy version of smoking pot, because I could get out of my mind either way. Pot did it for me, and so did concentrating on the breath at the tip of my nose. So but when I started practicing as being the witness, where I would lie down lie down on the couch or my bed, put my hand on my belly, both my hands on my belly, or sometimes one on my belly and one on my heart, and I would just watch whatever's going on. Ah, there's a thought. Well, there's a sensation, and I would just watch. Just this, it's kind of like the choiceless awareness that you hear in the mindfulness practices. And I found that was kind of a turning point for me when I started to practice in that way. So that's just another alternative, way that you can engage with a busy mind. Which is part of being humans have a busy mind. I mean, everybody thinks their mind's way busier than everybody else's, right? How many people always think they have the busiest mind sort of on the planet, right? And half the room, the hands go up. And but that's just, and you'd never want to admit, God, I can't stop thinking. No, everybody pretends that they can, but really they can't. A lot of times we pretend that, wow, we're listening. Mm-hmm. Somebody's talking and we pretend we're listening. We're nodding when really our mind's just whirling away about what we're going to say or, what we're going to do when this person stops talking, maybe go to the bathroom or whatever, just constant thinking, pretending we're not. So that's very natural. So if you can just sit back and watch the show, it can be very freeing. So I offer that as another way, an alternative along with concentration practices might be helpful.